Perfect.
Hey!
Hey!
Hey! Switch mics with
ready.
me, cause... No, you got the right one? You got the right one?
Yeah.
I got 4, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, look at all this length I have.
Oh,
Man, you were right. Oh, okay.
Here.
I gotta sink down. That's what I gotta do.
Yeah, you gotta
I gotta sink down.
You gotta sink down.
Here, I'll sink down for you. Look at that.
Okay.
Hello.
Hi. So, welcome everyone to Depression Grove, a podcast about depression and mental health issues, as well as art, writing, music, anything that you want to talk about or think about. This is the place to be.
Okay.
So today's guest is Curtis Sullivan.
That's me.
He's my fiance. And today we're going to talk about when professionals say they can't help you in their office.
Yes, which I am currently going through, and you went through over the most recent summer, I would say.
Yeah. So for those of you who are listening to this and may not know what depression is, or you've heard of it, but it never really sunk in what it might be. Depression is, it's not, let's talk about what depression isn't.
Okay.
So depression is not you being sad for a little bit.
No.
It is not...
Or a day.
Yes. It is not you mourning over someone.
No.
It is not something for attention.
No. It is not something that... it does not have to be lifelong. Some people can have it for periods of time.
And, you can sit up a little bit.
I'm trying to...
You look like you're slouching.
Cause I am slouching.
There you go.
For the viewer, I'm too tall for the shot.
Yeah.
And we don't have a tripod right now. So right now I'm like half slouching. I'm like trying to fit in. I'm just in here. Hello, welcome to Depression Grove.
Yeah, so that's what depression is not. Depression is not a game. It is not something you make up.
No.
Anxiety is also something that you don't make up. It's not a game. It's very serious. And people can literally die from it. So, for those viewers out there who don't know what it is, please, please, please do your homework. Go search. Read Depression Grove. There's so many articles out there that explain what depression is, the symptoms of it.
In many languages.
Yes,
as
in
well.
many languages. It explains what anxiety is. It explains what bipolar is. So, let's introduce our diagnoses just so that we can, relate to the viewers out there who are watching us.
Yeah.
So, I was first diagnosed with major depression, with, what's that called? It's not paranoia. Psychosis. There we go. So I was first diagnosed with major depression with psychosis and a generalized anxiety disorder, but now I am professionally diagnosed as bipolar 2 with generalized anxiety disorder.
And I am diagnosed as major depression, which I got that diagnosis and other diagnoses within the last year. But I was diagnosed with PTSD at age 6. I also have generalized anxiety disorder. I also have primary insomnia, which started 5 years ago, And I also have. What do I also have? I have something else.
Concussion?
Post-concussive syndrome, which I also was diagnosed with 5 years ago when I got a major concussion. So, well, a mild concussion, which was on the more severe side of a mild concussion.
Okay, so when you first figured out, not even that you had depression, but when the symptoms first started coming out, what did you do?
I jerked off. And that's actually not a punchline. It is a punchline, but it's not a punchline. I jerked off profusely, and didn't tell anyone about it. I didn't really say that that's what I was feeling, because I couldn't express it. I didn't know that I needed therapy or anything like that, so I just lived with it and in it, and did a lot of things that made it worse in some cases, and did a lot of things that made it flare up when in sexual situations as well.
So now that you're older and you're having, you're at this age where you can get help for yourself, and really talk to other people, and we're in a time when depression and anxiety is sort of flaring up,
Yeah.
Definitely, it's sort of coming to the forefront of life. And now that you're at this age, how do you feel in terms of, having depression, having all of these other symptoms and conditions, and talking to people about it?
I don't feel much differently about it. From the time I was young and not talking about it with anyone, I was feeling like I couldn't get help, like that there was no help. Now I am doing better by, advocating for myself, and that's the one thing that I would say is the most important: to advocate for yourself, to talk with your medical professionals and be honest with them. And there's something that we'll get into later about a time when I felt like I couldn't be honest in the with them. I couldn't be honest in the appointments, because then they would tell me that I needed to go to an institution, or I needed to something, but it was just, I could feel that it was just the disease that I had. And nowadays I am much quicker to think, what happened before? What happened that made me feel this way? Was there nothing that made me feel this way? Was there something? Was there, an event in my life? Was there something sad that happened? And I really try to approach it holistically, especially when you have long-term diagnoses or chronic diagnoses. I am more about, it's not about the battle, it's about the war. Like, we're battling against this thing constantly, and we can't just take it from one side. We can't just take it from medicine. We can't just take it from therapy. We have to take it from all sides. Okay. How about you? What do you do differently now in treating yourself that you didn't do when you were younger, and what did you do in both stages?
Well, when I was younger, I actually didn't talk about it. So I sort of just let myself live with it. And I feel like that was a big mistake. Because if I would have talked, people who don't understand now would have been much more used to it and would have already understood or gotten more information about depression that and even bipolar that they've never really understood.
Yeah.
So now I'm an open book and I talk to everyone about everything,
Yeah.
If someone asks me what my experience has been with depression, I just start talking about it because it is so important for people to know and understand what depression is. They feel like depression has to have a reason. And
Yeah, that's a big one.
yeah, and depression does not have to have a reason. It just happens sometimes. And yes, sometimes it may be triggering to, see something or hear something, and that sort of, gets in your head because of things that happened before, but that's more of PTSD, and it's...
Well, that's the hard part, right? Because you want to say that everything that happens that is really hard to deal with is like that would trigger you and cause symptoms would be PTSD, but it's not.
Well, they're PTSD symptoms.
Yes, they're PTSD symptoms, but they cross over with depression, they cross over with anxiety, they cross over with a lot of things, and also neither depression nor PTSD need to be triggered by anything. I wake up and I feel horrible because of PTSD, and I don't know why.
Yeah. So that's another thing. So you started it again.
Hey.
We're back.
Let me make sure you're in. Oh, let me make sure you're in focus. Am I in focus? Well,
it looks like we're in focus.
It looks like you're in focus. That's what matters. You're the beautiful host. That's what really matters.
Well, like we were saying, just like depression, just sit up a little. You can.
Yeah. No, I'm there. Look, my head is in the top of the frame.
Yeah.
We're filling out the frame, Ash.
Woo. But just like depression, PTSD doesn't really have a reason.
No.
And
well, the beginning does.
I mean, what happened has a reason.
Yes.
But the experiences that you have later on after all of that is done doesn't really have to have a reason either. It can just happen, or it can just, manifest itself. You can just be sitting there doing nothing and have a PTSD symptom or a flashback.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Something will trigger you and nothing's wrong. Nothing's happening around you that could be triggering. So, I haven't made a post about PTSD yet, but I definitely will. And it's just, wow. There's just so much going on with depression, PTSD, bipolar, and all these mental health conditions that people just don't really understand why it happens.
Yeah.
And I can't sit here and tell you that I'm going to tell you why it happens because I don't know.
Yeah.
But, going back into this, the main topic was, when professionals say they can't help you in their office. So now that you are going to, you can get your own help and everything. So tell me a little bit about how it's been so far and what your current status is in terms of your mental health condition. Not really mental health condition, but your treatment?
Okay. I am in a place where I have been with the same therapist for about 3 years now. I have been doing my first stint of psychiatry for about 4 months now.
Mm-hmm.
And it's funny, before this, I didn't feel like it was a turning point. Like, I knew there were turning points in your journey with mental health, but now it really feels like if you have a chronic condition, that there is a turning point of the first time someone looks at you and says, "Oh, I can't help you."
Mm-hmm.
And I feel very depressed, dealing with mourning because of the sudden death of Kobe and Gianna Bryant, and all of the people who died in that horrible tragedy. And, you know, I'm not into music as much as I would like to be. I'm in this spot where I feel like it's a turning point. I feel like it's a time when I have to stand up and go, okay, we've done most of the stuff we can do in this therapy office. There's some other stuff to try. There's some other techniques that I know that you're good at, but we're coming to the end soon. And I can't do anything about the fact that it's not working. If it's not working, it's not working. And
exactly.
I can't force it. I mean, look, you don't have to stay with your therapist for 3 years to, like, we did some good work. I'm doing a lot of things differently, like saying the things that I like and the things that I want. And, you know, like, excuse me. I had to burp. Just ate before this, sorry. No, that's not a problem. You could go swish it if you want.
No, if it's not a problem, it's not a problem.
I don't think so. I'm gonna walk out of frame and talk, just so you know. So
he's gonna look at the computer to make sure that everything's working fine.
Yeah. So I feel like, yes, and it is. I feel like right now what I need to do is not really. I've said it so many times of what I need to do is take control, but what I need to do is stop saying I need to do things. You have to, in your mental health service, do service to yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like that word service is something that you can't just let other people do, otherwise it's never going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people have spoken against and been skeptical of medical marijuana, and I am in the process of seeing if I get validated for that. And to be honest, it helps. Like, don't be afraid of something that helps. If it helps, it helps. You can't choose what helps. You can't choose what hurts you. You can't choose what... Well, you can choose what helps and hurts you somewhat. There's some manifestation to that, but you can't...
And... Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Sorry that I'm interrupting you, but
no,
on a side note, I am not... We are not trying to get anyone to try drugs as, a side thing or self-medicate, because doctors do not like that. And it is not a way to help yourself. You don't self-medicate. You go to a doctor and a doctor tells you what you need. That is usually how that works.
Well, I have to kind of play devil's advocate. Okay, don't self-medicate.
Yeah.
We're not saying do drugs.
Yeah.
But I'm also saying that I have had so many doctors tell me that medical marijuana is just patching up a thing instead of fixing it, and it's well, it's like buying a boat that you didn't know had holes in it, and then you take the boat home, and oh shit, the boat has holes in it. You can't move a boat with holes in it, Ash. And a lot of times doctors, have to say things for legality. Like, I have to play devil's advocate here because we're the only two here.
Mm-hmm.
And doctors have to play that game with the law of, like, I have to do what is in my legal bounds. And I feel that's why a lot of doctors told me that it would only be a patch and, this and that. Meanwhile, I was in therapy. Like, I'm doing therapy and psychiatry and that, and, expressing myself in different mediums and trying to soothe myself by activities I know that work. And, sometimes you have to push a little bit. Like, don't just go off and self-medicate and be like, I'm going to do a bunch of ecstasy for my depression. Like, you can't do that. But also, if you feel like something will help you, you do have to push sometimes because you're the only one
Yes,
who knows.
but you still went to a doctor. You
True.
Still went to someone who told you that this would be a good way to help you. So...
Yeah, but I had to go to them.
Even though you still had to go to them, they still validated that, yes, as a doctor, this is something that can help you.
Okay.
Okay. You're
that's
doing
fair.
it legally.
Yeah.
We are not saying to go out and do drugs illegally.
No.
Or to self-medicate because that's no way to help yourself. Yes, try everything you can, but for the most part, take your doctor's word for it. They've been studying this for how long? So they know what they're doing. If you have to go to a doctor to get something that may help you, go to a doctor. But don't think that by doing it yourself that you're going to be right in the right,
Yeah.
Don't self-medicate. Self-medicating is a no-no.
Which I did for a long time.
Yeah.
And I was just very, 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 very lucky. This literally never happens. That the thing that I self-medicated for ended up being the thing that one day a doctor was like, this will help you.
Yeah, exactly.
Most of the time, that's not the case.
Exactly.
Just so you know.
So that's what I meant by, drugs or not.
Yeah.
'Cause everything we take for this they're drugs. It's just that they're, legal or they're, proven.
Someone deemed that literally the only difference between, and this is my own belief, that the only difference between legal and illegal drugs is that someone said that's illegal.
Yes, exactly.
And most of the time, the people who say that's illegal are making money off of it.
Well, this is not the place to talk about that.
That's a different topic.
That could be on your own podcast.
Yeah.
Wonderfully Wrong, by the way.
That's SoundCloud, what's up? Possibly video coming soon.
But right now we're talking about, let's get back into the topic.
Sorry.
Which is...
I really derailed that so hard.
You did. When doctors
Laugh
say...
away from the microphone.
Huh?
Laugh away from the microphone, it peaks.
Oh, well, I'm sorry that my laugh is so loud.
It's the only loud thing about you. It's literally the only one. I could not find another one, and I am going to marry you. And we sleep next to each other.
You're derailing. But back to the topic, when doctors say they can't help you in their office.
You know what I do want to cover? Sometimes they don't tell you. Hey.
We're back.
We're back again. Sometimes the doctors don't say it in the way of them just looking at you and telling you that they can't help you. Excuse me, which is the hardest thing to work through when you get to that point. Because you had that situation. Well, no, I had that situation. Excuse me. Which...
Doctors actually told me they couldn't help me.
Yeah, they just straight up told you. I wish someone would have just straight up just look me in the face and tell me you can't help me. Today, I went to get a haircut. Okay? And the woman who cut my hair, who was very nice, I did not get her name. I have to. She was not super privy to cutting black people's hair. And she walked in, I had a huge afro at the time, and she said, "I'm not trying to be mean. I cannot cut your afro." And I said, "That's okay, no one can cut my afro. I want you to cut it off." And she was like, oh, wait, really? And I was like, "Yeah, can you give me a $1? As long as you can shape me up, I'll talk you through the rest." And she was like, yeah, totally. And I wish someone would do that. But basically what happened was, I'm not going to make this whole thing a metaphor. That would be for my own podcast about, sitting in the chair and them just cutting your hair and fucking it up.
Yeah.
But it's very similar, because you go to a therapist and you sit in a chair and they fuck it up the whole time. They don't do a good job. Or you go to a psychiatrist and they go, "Well, we are very worried about you, and we're just gonna keep upping your antidepressants. We're just gonna keep upping them." And there are two sides to that, and an entire gray area between it. Between those 2 points, there is an entire gray area of mental health is individual.
Mm-hmm.
Everything is by the person. If I was on as many antidepressants as you, I would not be able to function. I don't understand how your body metabolizes drugs. But you're on them, and I've never seen you closer to yourself while taking antidepressant medication.
I agree.
And you are finally 100% yourself. And it is a game of trial and error.
I wouldn't say 100% though.
No?
No.
What percentage would you say? I would say above 80.
No, I think I'm at 80.
80?
Yeah.
You think there's another 20%?
Yeah.
What do you think you're not getting back?
A lot of my thoughts, thinking is still very hard.
You're going to have to be more specific.
Like, just thinking in general. Like, my head still feels like there's a cloud over it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I see.
I sometimes still stare off into space and get sad, know?
Yeah, I get that.
Sometimes getting up is a little much. I want to lay down and just not do anything all day. But
that's true.
But the fact that I'm at 80 means that I can push myself, and I'm not, happy-go-lucky. I'm not, in a very bubbly, great thing or personality, but I'm at this place where I can at least say that I'm doing well enough.
Yeah.
So for me, my experience with this was very different, because I actually had doctors tell me that they couldn't help me. Just to my face, just tell me that we can't help you. And I think that I told you this in the car, but one of the more important things is to know what to ask. Because if you see that it's been a while and you're still not getting any results, you should ask them, "What can you do for me? What are we working towards right now?" And if they tell you the truth, which if they're a good therapist or a good doctor, they will tell you the truth.
Yes.
They're going to say, "This is what we're working towards." Or they're going to say, "I'm sorry I can't keep helping you here. And I'm really trying, but there's nothing more that I can do. And it was actually very interesting because when I went to the therapist that I went to, she actually told me on the first day that there was nothing that she could do for me.
Oh yeah, I do remember that.
Yeah.
That is a very unique experience.
Yes, it is. So she told me, when we finished all the list of what's your backstory and what's your life like and how are you feeling and all this extra stuff. So once we finished all of that, she literally said, "I'm sorry, I don't think I can help you here. I don't even think therapy can help you."
Wow, she said she doesn't think any therapy can help you.
Yeah, she literally told me, "I don't think any therapy can help you."
I do not remember that at all.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
It was a lot.
I'm sorry I'm cursing, but...
No, it's okay. This is a place where we can say anything we want.
Okay.
Not to the extreme, but...
She knows she had to give me that.
Yes.
She had to give me that qualifier.
Yes. But...
That's crazy.
At the moment, it felt like I felt like I was defeated. Because if she couldn't help me and no other therapist was going to help me, then who was? And it took me a while to go to a psychiatrist, but one day I just snapped suddenly, and it felt like an epiphany. Like I had to go kill myself. And guys, I'm sorry, I will, in the little caption below this video,
there's going to be an intro to this video that you're going to shoot, that I'm going to produce.
No, I already said the intro. In the caption below this video, there's going to be a disclaimer and a warning for all of you people who are triggered by things. So if you want to read that, you should read it. If you don't read it, maybe you should start paying more attention. But no, there was just one day where I had this epiphany, and it was like, I have to go kill myself. This is what I have to do. Like, I know all of my problems, everything is just answered, everything. And I remember being in such a state and talking to you through it. And I went to my therapy appointment the next day, and I told her what had happened, and she said, "You should have called me." And I said, "I didn't know I could call you."
which by the way, all of this is shitty therapy. From the beginning, this is some of the worst therapy I've ever seen. Okay, so if you experience any of this, please run.
Yeah.
Please run. If on the first day they tell you no therapy can help, please run.
Yeah. And so she told me that I should have called her, and that she thinks it's time to go and get medication. And I agreed with her because that was just unacceptable. I shouldn't have had an experience like that in the first place.
Well, I wouldn't say it's unacceptable. It would be unacceptable if you did nothing in response.
No, I think it's unacceptable to have an experience like that. Because I don't think no one should feel like their answer is killing themselves.
No one should feel like the answer is killing themselves. But that is something that is a symptom of a few mood disorders, and no one should have to go through that, but some people will experience that, and if you do experience that, you have to get help from your mental health professionals, and that even if you don't have a chronic illness, you should at least for a short time be on something to help those feelings and those thoughts. But I just didn't want you to, invalidate anyone who felt that way as like...
No, I didn't mean that. I meant that having an epiphany
Yeah, okay.
Of that nature.
Having it be like, this is a great idea.
Yes.
Everything is solved.
Exactly. Having something that feels so, like, right. You know? Yeah. That should not be a thing.
And anything that is that... You're right. Anything
it's a
that
very
is that,
strong feeling.
Anything that is that quick as well.
Yes.
Is most likely wrong, by the way. Yes. In case you haven't made any snap decisions in your life.
So then I went to a psychiatrist, and the first meeting, he told me I could not get help in his office. And I felt defeated yet again.
Shitty psychiatry?
Yes. He gave...
okay, disclaimer, not always. Sometimes they're being honest.
He was being honest with me.
He was being honest. The difference between therapy and psychiatry... and specifically someone being able to help you is that most people can benefit from therapy if you are open to it. Most people do not benefit from psychiatry if it is not right for them. You know, so that's the only difference.
Yeah. So he was like, I can't help you in my office. I just can't. I think you should go to a intensive therapy program and see if they can help you there. And I did. And it didn't really work. But that's a whole different podcast for another day.
Most subjects, you picked a very good topic. But guess what I'm not moving or switching the shot for?
Yeah, exactly.
Because this shot,
that another time.
I'm not telling you how long it took us to make this shot.
Yeah.
Because I'm a professional and I'm supposed to be able to do this, so I'm not going to tell you because it's bad for my business. It's really bad.
Next time we will have all of this. You know, this is our first time ever even recording something.
Yes.
So
this is the first video I've shot on this camera. It's a professional camera.
Yeah. So next time we will definitely have all of the settings correct. We didn't even know this was a setting.
No. Yes. We'll also have, you know what we'll have? A tripod so I don't have to...
Yes, so that he can actually sit properly.
Yeah, so we don't crush my spine while this is happening. That would be awesome.
Yeah. So I just want to hear a little more about your experience because you're currently going through it. I mean, yes. The way that I solved
this situation I'm currently going through.
The way that I solved it was that I just kept going and kept at it, and I didn't take no for an answer, you know, because you shouldn't have to take no for an answer. You can get help. Therapy will help you. Psychiatry will help you. It's just that you need to find the right people. You know, like in one of my posts that I uploaded in Depression Grove, the website, the blog, I spoke about how, you know, I've made so much progress in this short amount of time that I've been away. I was in hiatus for a while, not writing any blog posts. And I was taking care of myself during that time and moving and doing all these things. And, you know, I found a therapist who's really awesome. She's so nice and validating.
She's so cool.
She's really cool.
It's horrible how cool she is.
She's really cool. And the psychiatrist is very nice, and she actually bothers to ask about how I'm doing, what's going on, are things, you know, working out for me. She remembers things that I tell her, like, oh, I'm looking for a job or something like that.
By the way, you have better healthcare than I have ever had. Like, ever. I don't
think it's the healthcare. I think it's just...
those two people. I'm talking about those two people.
Yeah, I think
I'm not talking about your healthcare. I'm talking about those two people are better than every person I have ever had in any any mental health space that I've been in.
It's a matter of research, and I think that's very important, because some people just look at their list and say, oh, I'm gonna go to the first person I see, or I'm gonna go to the closest facility or person or whatever doctor that is nearest to me. And instead of doing that, you really need to research. If it's a little further away than you might want, you should talk to them, because they might have transportation. They might even your insurance might have transportation that you can take to and from your appointments. So it's very important to know what your insurance covers and what it doesn't, and know what the facility covers and what it doesn't.
Yeah, you're much more in tune with this than I am, and I mean, currently, I feel like I'm in medical purgatory. I feel like I'm wrapped up in all of this red tape, waiting. I'm just waiting for the state to approve my medical marijuana card. I am waiting for my psychiatrist to drug test me again, so I can tell him to sit on a dick. I'm trying to reach out to, like another therapist and another psychiatrist, so that I can get other opinions. I mean, I'm in family therapy as well, so it really, like, I'm getting cognitive behavioral therapy, which is good for a list of mood disorders. I don't have them on hand, but I am going to try to go to someone who is DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, which is more intense and is what you experienced in the program that was intensive care.
Yes, and I've also been writing a lot of posts about them as well. So I've been covering some DBT skills that you guys should definitely take a look at. It's in the blog feed. It's like, I think most of the posts I've written about so far are about DBT. So, take a look at that. Depression Grove.
But yeah, I feel like I'm in medical purgatory. I feel like nothing is helping right now. Some things are helping some, but some things definitely are going completely unchecked. My anxiety is almost completely unchecked. Thankfully I have access to enough drugs to get by, while therapy isn't working, and while some of my anxiety and antidepressant medication isn't working. But that's what it feels like, and it can feel like that sometimes when you're dealing with insurance, when you're dealing with doctor's offices, when you're dealing with so many different aspects of mental health. You have to deal with the medical system, which can be frustrating in many countries. I mean, most countries, it can be very frustrating. Even when the healthcare, even when the healthcare is free, like in Canada, like there's some of the people who need like therapy for addiction, the waiting list is like 5 years long.
Wow.
Yeah, it's crazy. Like some of the places are really hard to get into no matter where you are. So I'm sure that's very relatable for some people, but it is one of the first times I've been here of like, it's hard to feel hope right now, because I am doing things to get better, but none of them matter, because all of the appointments that I'm going to get are weeks out, and all of the, I'm just waiting. I have no clue when the state is going to respond. They actually might not, and I might need to pay another really high fee of $150 to go see a doctor and have them resubmit to the state, or I can resubmit on my own and have them send it, and it's just, there's so many different things that go into it that makes it feel like I'll never get better, or I'll never feel love towards music again. I'll never feel good enough that I could be doing music 5 to 7 days a week like I was before. And that's really what I want to get back to. That, you know, that's the thing that I love, and that's the thing that has changed my life. It's the thing that got me into audio engineering and makes me want to pursue that. And stagehanding and all of these skills that I've learned that I would have never learned beforehand, and I would have just had to pick something in college and go with it. But you know, I didn't want to be a music teacher, and I didn't know if I was good enough of a musician to play professionally. And once I figured out those things about where my life was going, it made it a little easier to ask people. Well, no, not ask people, but demand that people make sure that they give me what I need to get better. But it's so far out that it just doesn't. It's been a difficult time waiting for that, to say the least.
I'm sure it's been very difficult, and I think you should be positive.
Yeah.
Because, you know, don't take no for an answer. If it's time to change, it's time to change.
I keep looking at the clock, waiting for that 10 minutes to come.
Oh.
we got 5 minutes left.
Okay, well, I mean, I was gonna wrap it up anyway. So,
oh, okay. Perfect timing.
Yeah, so this is what I just want to say some closing things, like,
of course,
you know, and this is not just for Curtis, this is for everyone else out there who's listening. Don't take no for an answer. You deserve to be treated, and I mean, be in treatment at all, in general. You know, you deserve to be in treatment, you deserve to feel better, you deserve a much better life than what you're having now. And I think that if someone says they can't help you, then you just go to the next person and just keep on trying and keep on trying, because you're going to find someone who's going to help you. And, you know, like me, if I would have given up when they told me that I needed help, I would have still been in a program that didn't help me. I would have still been very depressed, would have never figured out my actual diagnosis. I would have never figured anything out. I would have never gotten the right medication that actually works for me. So I feel like, you know, a lot of people, especially with depression, it tends to be very hard to keep going.
Yeah.
And
it
you're
makes
going
you
to
feel
feel
that hopelessness.
Yes. You're going to feel very, very hopeless.
Yes.
If that happens, or if it already did happen. And just know that there are people out there and there are resources out there that want to help you. And, you know, just keep at it. Just keep at it.
Yeah, I would say, you know, would imagine that you were one of your loved one, and they were suffering as much as you are suffering if you are dealing with any of these disorders and not getting help for them. What would you do? You know, it really helped me helping you through that situation and talking you through that situation and telling you that you deserved better. And, you know, at one point one of them said, well, is it Curtis? I was totally wrong. But yeah.
Leg down.
We're in the closing. I'm getting comfortable with the audience. You know, it helped me to help you through that situation and say that, that person is just picking things out in your life and hoping that one of them is correct. Hoping that one of them turns out to be, oh yeah, I actually don't feel good about that because they couldn't help her. And if you have trouble advocating for yourself, that's a great exercise. And I hope that this stuff helps you. I hope this is one of the many times I'm on the podcast, and Ashley is out here creating. So why don't you guys go out there and use some of the resources she puts out there. This is a great thing that you're doing here.
Thank you.
I thought I was an open book, and then I started dating you, and I was like, holy shit. This girl, she was super by the way, she was super closed off in the beginning, and then I just got her with my hippie crunchy granola bullshit, and the floodgates opened, and boy, am I not an open book. This one is an open book. So, yeah, great work, babe.
Thank you. So do you have any,
Any plugs?
Yeah. Anything you want to put out there?
Now I'll plug the podcast. I'll plug my Instagram, Wonderfully Wrong, which is will be under Curtis Sullivan Jr. on SoundCloud, and hopefully soon on video, because you have convinced me that this is better. I knew it was better before, but this is what we're doing now. Yeah. Now we need to get this stuff. I had enough to do when I was just thinking about my music setup. Now I got to think about a podcast setup, and it's a whole thing. Don't worry about it. But yeah, Wonderfully Wrong. Look it up. The preview episode is actually with Ashley, and my Instagram, which is Citrus Flow. The SoundCloud right now is under Citrus Flow. That's where I release music as well. And thanks for having me.
Cool. So remember, Depression Grove.
Yes.
On WordPress. Depression Grove is also on Instagram. So look it up.
Wow, I didn't even know about this. The glow up.
Yeah. And then Depression Grove, the podcast. So, there's only one name, so you guys don't have to scramble around. So just look it up, Google it, WordPress it, Instagram it. Comments, leave any comments you have. Leave topics also, because, if you have a topic that maybe you want discussed, we can definitely discuss it. And yeah, it's
I think
pretty
that's
good.
it.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Bye.